Hi, I'm Lisa K. Donner, along with Andrew Moran, Graham Noble, Dave Patterson, and Scott Cosenza. And this is the Conservative Five, Liberty Nation's online TV news program. The little darlings of the Democratic Party, yes, those progressives, have seemed to have lost their oomph. High-profile elected officials in the movement have recently come under fire, and progressives are suffering the consequences of their, shall we say, socialist leanings in the primaries. These progressive radicals look to be going down in flames this year. But the primary season is in full swing, and there are still races to be won. Scott, I know you've been keeping a keen eye on those fresh-faced leftists. What say you?
Well, it does seem to be their receding or lowering tide for progressives across the nation. We saw Chesa Boudin, I think is how we say his name.
I think it's Chesa Boudin.
Chesa Boudin lost his bid for to be DA of San Francisco. And if San Francisco is in a safe place for a communist George Soros DA, then where in the nation can one gain safety? They think there's a 6-1 registration advantage for Democrats over Republicans in San Francisco. And of course, we don't have to get into any statistics to know it's probably the most liberal big city in the country. And they threw him out on his ear. And I think it's just the notion that these progressive policies, the reality that the people have to live in once they're enacted, like you can't go to the drugstore because it closed because they don't prosecute shoplifting claims, becomes a bit much to live through. George Gascon is again with the pronunciation. It's going to be a triple pronunciation thread here for the DAs in LA. Featured, he got a vote of no confidence of I think 9 out of 10 associate DAs, and where I'm sitting now in Loudoun County, Virginia, which saw a lot of controversy, of course, with the prosecution or lack thereof of a trans person who attacked a woman in a high school bathroom. That DA has now been removed from a criminal case by a Virginia judge for not basically prosecuting the case effectively, and gone to a more conservative prosecutor in another part of the state. So they are in full retreat.
Wait a minute, unless I missed something, and I'm not going to let you go until you talk about your home city, the city of brotherly love, and the DA there.
Well, the DA there is probably the most successful and sort of the initial.
Larry Krasner, are we talking about the same guy?
Yeah.
You're saying successful and Krasner in the same
Krasner
country?
won re-election handily. And so he, you know, in terms of where the rubber meets the road in the polls, getting his job back, Krasner got his job back. So he's kind of safe. It's the rest of them that are doing, having more troubles. And I think that as each additional layer of dreck that the administration puts on us, whether it's the inflation, whether it's the interest rates, whether it's the economy tanking, jobs availability, each one makes the consequences of all the others harder to bear. If you just can't get diapers at the store, but you got a job and gas is $3 a gallon, it's not so bad, but everything all at once. So Krasner got in, I think, with his reelection, Lisa, under that sort of bar with all these other things cascading down. But these other ones, not so much.
Now, Graham, you were early in digging into Boudin and his illustrious past and present, and God knows what his future is now.
Yeah, as I wrote recently, he's kind of like the poster child for this radical kind of Soros-funded socialist agenda. I mean, has all the great bona fides from a left-wing point of view. His parents were in prison for a botched armed robbery. They were, hardcore leftists.
The Weather Underground, right?
Yes, the Weathermen or the Weather Underground, absolutely. And then even, I believe it was Boudin's mother's father, I believe, was also an attorney who at one point represented Fidel Castro, something like that. So,
and Paul Robeson, the other one of America's most famous communists.
Right. Yeah, there you go. And so, what a great pedigree that guy has from that left-wing perspective. And it makes you wonder, as Scott alluded to, if you come from that pedigree and you're in San Francisco of all places and they throw you out, that's not a good sign for the future of the progressive agenda, I would say.
Well, the progressives are going down. I mean, one by one. And then you see the I guess, institutional progressives like AOC who voted against the bill that would protect the Supreme Court justices' families and the justices themselves. I mean, is that really still popular out there, Dave?
It's not popular out beyond the Washington Beltway. I mean, the feeling and belief here in the great unwashed is that these people are lunatics and have no grasp of reality whatsoever. And unfortunately, rather than confronting them, they tend to dismiss them and look for people who have a grasp on the way things really are.
Andrew, I'm wondering if there is really a nexus, though it's not often talked about, between progressives hitting the skids in the primaries and what's going on with the Biden inflation economy mess that we're in.
Yeah, what's funny is that a lot of these progressives, they advance the exact same policies that caused this mess. They actually want to go further. I mean, look at the student loan issue. The student loan issue is a prime example of this. People like AOC, they want to cancel $1.5 trillion student loans. This would exacerbate inflation because now you have $1.5 trillion going to be spent, going to be put back into the economy, and you have a greater supply of the cash with too few goods. So that's another issue. The progressive, they want to remove the fossil fuel industry. Well, you look what happened with Biden declared war on the fossil fuel industry. Now you have $5 gasoline, you have $6 diesel, $115 barrel of oil, $7 natural gas, which probably soon to be $8 or $9 again. So everything progresses.
This is all because of Putin, and if it's not because of Putin, it's because of the money that ExxonMobil is making.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me started on that. I hope we go into a segment where I can just complain about Bidenomics and everything he's saying because it's just devoid of reality, as my colleague Mr. Patterson just said. So everything progressives say, you're watching it unfold in real time. So you can only imagine what would happen if the progressives are actually really in power and they hold the keys to the White House or the Congress. I mean, the United States economy would just go down crashing, and China would laugh at this because of how high inflation would be.
All right, Graham, I'm going to give you the last word on this.
Well, I do believe that actually the problem goes back to the Obama administration, because as much as people on the right like to, call Obama all kinds of things and accuse him of all kinds of things, and I certainly did not like his politics at all. However, I think actually the Obama administration was largely a disappointment to the hardcore progressives, because he didn't go as far. He never went as far as they would have liked him to have gone. And so when Biden came around, and at least Obama was seen as a little bit of a stronger leader, whereas Biden is completely weak and you can lead him around by the nose. And so what they've done is, once Biden got into office, they said, okay, we're not going to miss our chance again. We are going to throw everything at the system that we can. We are going to completely overload it. We're going to go crazy. We're going to have, drag queens in every school. We're going to all of this nonsense. And I think that's where they've, the left always won by small incremental advances towards their agenda. And this time they've just they've exploded, and they've thrown everything, including the kitchen sink, at us. And it's backfired.
Well, soft on crime, tough on fossil fuels, and spending taxpayer dollars, as Andrew said, on outlandish schemes may just be the death knell of the radical left's attempt to take over the Democratic Party. We'll keep you in the loop, folks. Thanks for watching, and thanks to our C5 panel. That's it for our Conservative 5 panel today. Check out our other C5 shows and segments on your favorite video platform. YouTube, Vimeo, Rumble, we're on them all. As well, Liberty Nation has its own Roku channel where you can see all of our TV productions. Thanks for tuning in, and remember, surf on over to libertynation.com. Join us in the member zone, just $17.76 for the entire year. Special thanks to our fantastic editor and post coordinator, Frank Diorio, and our executive producer, Sarah Cowgill. I'm Lisa K. Donner, editor-in-chief. Thanks for joining us today. This has been a production of libertynation.com, where truth is making a comeback.